After one of the most historical runs in Detroit Lions franchise history, going 12-5 in the regular season, 14-6 including the playoffs, sending numerous players to the Pro Bowl, a half a dozen players into the All-Pro first team and second team nominations, the Detroit Lions end up coming up just that much short in the NFC Championship game. Guys, the 6 inches that we need were everywhere around us. They were in every break of the game, in every minute and every second. They're also in Vildor's face mask when the ball bounced off of it, and Josh Reynolds' hands when he couldn't manage to catch the ball. Guys, I think we found some things out about some guys, and we figured some stuff out that we need to address moving forward. We're going to talk about the NFC Championship game. This is the Hat and Beard Show. I'm here to say the quiet part out loud. Let's get into it, fellas.
We're going to get up, and on the way up, we're going to bite a kneecap off.
Doesn't matter if you have one ass cheek and 3 toes. I will beat your ass.
Hey guy, welcome back to the Hat and Beard Show. We're talking NFC Championship game between the Lions and the San Francisco 49ers. I'm pretty bummed out, and I'm sure the majority of you are as well. By now you've had a couple of days to let that pain kind of gestate down. In full transparency, I called in Monday because I was disgusted. I was so sick to my stomach on the entire performance in the second half of the Detroit Lions. We've seen it happen numerous times where the third quarter has not been our friend. Second half adjustments have not necessarily been our strong suit this season. Right quick off the bat, I need to address, people are really going after Dan Campbell and his fourth downs that he didn't convert and not kicking field goals. And look, for 31 other teams in the league, what you're saying makes sense. For the Detroit Lions, it doesn't make sense. Did any of you ever think that we were going to kick that field goal? Did any of you hesitate when Dan Campbell went for it on fourth down? No. Because the way Dan Campbell coaches his team, the way he goes about playing the game, the scheme that he devises, that's what we do, man. We gamble. We roll the dice. You live by the Dan Campbell sword. You die by the Dan Campbell sword. We've seen it happen a couple of different times this year, and unfortunately it just wasn't going our way Sunday in San Francisco. There's some other things, that could have, would have, should have, If Josh Reynolds decided to pick any other game but the NFC Championship game to just have brick hands, if Jahmyr Gibbs didn't fumble the ball, if CJ could have played a little bit better, if Aiden Hutchinson could have gotten home a little bit more often, if my grandmother had been born with wheels, she'd have been a wagon. Ifs and buts were candies and nuts. We at least had a Merry Christmas clinching the NFC North and making our way into the playoffs. Not only did we make our way into the playoffs, but we sustained back-to-back playoff wins, both at Ford Field, which are both great for the team and an economic boon for the city of Detroit. But I'm not going to hang my hat on moral victories. This was a great season. Yes. Time to move forward. We will talk briefly about what this season meant. We've been discussing it all season, all year long. This was a magical season, okay? There will never be a season like this for the Detroit Lions, okay? This season, this is why it hurt so bad. Was yes, we are talented. We are not the most talented team in the NFL. Yes, we got grit. We're probably not the grittiest team in the NFL. San Francisco really upstaged us in that department. Yes, we have a dynamic play caller in Ben Johnson, who, man, what some great news we got about Ben Johnson. Today, it broke Ben Johnson will be returning for the Detroit Lions 2024 season as our offensive play caller. Ben Johnson coming back because he's got unfinished business, and I think that's going to be the tone moving forward because this year was magical. This year, we showed everybody what we can do, right? Now it's time to repeat it over and over and over again and show that this wasn't a one-and-done, a fluke turnaround situation, a Cinderella story. Oh, good job, Detroit. You guys made it. Look at you. Now go back to being mediocrity at best. No. This was now putting the NFL on notice. So moving forward, the magic won't be there. The talent needs to be there. The skill needs to be there. I do like what Dan Campbell said, though, about moving forward with the team. Just because you might be incredibly talented doesn't necessarily mean you're going to fit in our locker room, and that's what I've been preaching about all season long is the mentality of the players that Dan Campbell and Brad Holmes bring in. They look for a very specific psychological profile on an individual, someone who's going to mesh with the core of the team. So far, they've done pretty well at that. In the offseason, I think we will see guys who, although do fit the build of the Detroit Lions, are a little bit past their prime over the hill. Romeo Okoro is probably not going to be coming back. Do I think Jonah Jackson comes back? He's probably going to be a little too expensive unless he wants to give us a nice, hefty, team-friendly hometown discount. What about Graham Glasgow? Do we bring back a 32-year-old versatile interior offensive lineman? Do we lose both of our starting interior offensive linemen and hope to address it through free agency in the draft? These are all questions that we need to address, but today is not that day. Today is the day for putting to bed the Lions' 2023 magical season, going 12-5, winning the NFC North with 2 weeks left in the regular season, and clinching home field advantage for one, but then a second playoff game, making our way all the way to the NFC Championship game to square off with the big boys of the NFC, the perennial, the pillars of the NFC, the San Francisco 49ers, who have been there, 4 years in a row now? 5 years? 4 years ago, they played against the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. That was an entirely different style of team with an entirely different roster, and they're right back to it. And that's what I want to talk about with both championship games right now is both the Detroit Lions and the Baltimore Ravens. Although Baltimore is an elite team, they are not quite the Chiefs or the Niners or I guess last year's Eagles maybe, or what the Patriots used to be, the Colts used to be. The Baltimore Ravens are very good, and they have the MVP of the league on their team in Lamar Jackson. They just shit the bed Sunday against the Chiefs. And what you've seen out of Baltimore and Detroit both were two teams who had all of the talent to beat up their opponent and win both of their games. Unfortunately, when assholes meant elbows and it got down to the nitty-gritty of it all, there just wasn't enough left in the tank for Baltimore or the Detroit Lions. We got out to the deep water, and those who have been there time and time again, both the Chiefs and the Niners, showed both the Baltimore Ravens and the Detroit Lions why they are, in fact, the cream of the crop, why they are always Super Bowl favorites, because their staff and their players have been there so many times that they know what needs to be done. The conditioning, the off the field, the on the field, the off season, regular season, how to win games, how to conduct yourself, how to go about doing your business week in and week out for an incredibly long season, because those franchises expect to be there year in and year out. This year was, I don't want to say a fluke for the Detroit Lions, because anybody who's been following for many years knew what was coming. We just didn't expect it to happen necessarily this season. We knew the turnaround, the ascension was there. We just went from here to here in 1 year. Okay, we're a year and a half ahead of a rebuild that would have taken most franchises 5 years to do what we needed to do with the Detroit Lions. The entire culture change, the player turnover, the salary cap issues, taking gambles on injured players in the draft who ultimately some worked out, some didn't, right? J-Mo is poised to have a breakout year. I don't know what we do with J-Mo. Is J-Mo, comment down below, is J-Mo a hot enough commodity that you can justifiably get a second, third, or even a package deal of draft picks and draft capital, or do you want to see J-Mo stick around and continue to ascend and maybe be that elite talent that we've seen flashes of this year? Because with the injury and then the suspension his first year and then his second year, he's been very handcuffed, kneecapped, handicapped in his ability to develop and demonstrate on the field. You've seen it the back half of this year, though, when Ben Johnson, who again, returning as our offensive coordinator, draws up plays designed for J-Mo. J-Mo can take advantage using a very specific skill set that he has, and his ascension was there this year. He was really starting to turn it on. Unfortunately, our offensive game plan had already developed throughout the season to not necessarily incorporate him the way that St. Brown and Sam Laporta had been incorporated. They also excelled more when given their opportunities. Laporta not dropping as many passes as J-Mo has sometimes in his career. J-Mo, again, being more of just a speed guy. I'd like to see a little bit more skills develop out of him, maybe a little bit more strength. His route running is crisp. I'd like to see it tighten up a little bit more, but do you want to see Jameson Williams stick around with the Detroit Lions, or would you rather see him traded away? And if so, what do you think we could justifiably get out of him? I don't want to see Madden deals for J-Mo, okay? Comment down below what you really think, because I think I'd like to see JMO stick around at this point. I'd like to see us stick around, keep JMO. We still got him on a rookie contract, and he's got all the athleticism in the world. You're going to have to go ahead and let Josh Reynolds go because he Nelson Aguilar'd his way off of this team, okay? You can't have those kind of drops in that situation, my guy. I know that Josh Reynolds was brought in for a very specific reason midway through Jared Goff's first season here. And you've seen the chemistry that it was that was already still there from their time in LA together, and then the confidence boost that it gave Jared Goff. But Old Faithful, when Jared Goff went to you, man, you dropped two massive passes in the biggest stage that we had played on in franchise history. All that being said, I don't blame really any of the players except for Josh Reynolds dropping it, but that's bound to happen, man. That is statistically how the game goes. Kirby Joseph played decent. Brian Branch played decent. If even Melifonwu could have just wrapped up Brock Purdy, we would have had a game-sealing sack. Brock Purdy's slippery, though. He slipped right out. And tackling has been a major issue for us all season long. It's been a nagging issue for our team the past 3 seasons. We really cleaned it up this year. However, there were times, especially when Alex Anzalone had to wear the cast on his thumb after his thumb surgery, where we were missing a lot of tackles, though. You know, you could blame that on any number of things. Again, stage fright, young players, inexperience, gassed at the end of the season. I'm not trying to make excuses. I'm just trying to figure out what we need to do to address this moving forward. Kirby Joseph played like dog shit. Aiden Hutchinson just got smothered, man. James Houston, with his first game back, was an absolute no-show. We got little to no pass rush. It was just not our day, man. And honestly, I'm going to be real with you guys. I blame myself. Yeah, I don't blame anybody else but myself. I got kind of lazy here the last few weeks. I was really just kind of enjoying the ride with the Lions. I didn't really focus as hard as that I should have. I wasn't delivering content out to you guys in the same way that I normally do. I admitted numerous times in my videos that I was getting kind of tired and burnt out. I wasn't ready for the slog of the season. I was drinking way too much. So I need to do better. And this offseason, we're really going to work at getting ourselves ready for next season, because I really feel like I let the team down. That like when they absolutely needed every bit of energy from the fandom, I was too fat, too drunk, too lazy, too whatever, man. This one's on me. Like completely. I blame myself for this loss like 100%. So I'm really, really sorry, guys, that I didn't do as much as I should have. So I'm going to do better next year. And by doing so, I hope to elevate our team to push us over the edge, because we were so close and I wanted it, man. I wanted it so fucking bad. You guys know, growing up as a Lions fan, it's hard, man. It's hard. Even this year, it was hard. Up until like the Monday night game with the Raiders, people still weren't buying in, man. Like they said, "Oh, I'll believe it when I see it." Go fuck yourself. We won the North, just like I said we were going to do. We won a playoff game, just like I said we were going to do. We beat the Bucs, just like I said we were going to do. Right? It is there. All of the pieces are there. Brad Holmes being named GM of the year. The guy's got the biggest brain in football. Ben Johnson returning to the Detroit Lions for unfinished business. That's not the whole reason. Ben Johnson's not an idiot. He doesn't want to step into some trash can fucking dumpster fire franchise like Carolina, where the owner sucks, the GM is trash, and you have no talent, right? Yeah, you could go to Washington, but then you got to live in the swamp, for one. You got to be around all them DC dickheads. Yeah, they got, 60, 70 million in cap and the number 2 overall pick. Right, they got the number 2 overall pick. And they traded away some pieces before the trade deadline to acquire more draft capital. Ben Johnson might be a good coach, but Brad Holmes isn't in the front office of the Redskins, or the Commanders, right? Brad Holmes isn't the one picking the players for that team. So there's going to be a huge drop-off in talent. I mean, yeah, Sam Howell might be that guy. He ain't that guy. I just think Ben Johnson's not an idiot, and he's just not going to take a job for the sake of taking a job. He's got unfinished business here, right? And that's the whole motto of 2024, you guys. We put the league on notice last year. And this year, we're going to come even harder. And I want more. I want more physicality. I want more running back. I want more St. Brown. I want more Jared Goff. I want more out of this team. I'm not going to be satisfied with biting off fucking kneecaps, all right? In 2024, I want the whole goddamn leg. That's going to do it for me, guys. Stay out of trouble. Don't do anything I wouldn't do. Stick around for a more consistent upload. We'll be moving into the off season here soon, which is one of my more favorite times of the season. You really get to deal with the business side of things, salary cap issues, player skill set analysis, plus the drafts coming up. If you got nothing else better to watch, the Senior Bowl practices have been on NFL Network, and the Senior Bowl will be starting. You get a little bit of a sneak peek into some players really trying to make a name for themselves and elevate themselves up the draft board. Interesting statistic, for one of the first times ever, our coaching staff isn't going to be involved with the Senior Bowl because we made it to the NFC Championship game after winning the NFC North and the 3 seed, a home field advantage for the wild card, then a home field game for the divisional round before. Coming up 6 inches short against the San Francisco 49ers. So that is what it is. Stay out of trouble. Anything I wouldn't do, guys. I've been Hat and Beard. You've been an attentive audience. We'll see you guys next week. We'll see you or whatever. I don't know. Did I mention fuck Josh Reynolds' hands?